My mom told me a long time ago, said every time you strike a man's face, you're hitting the face of God. Hector the Collector is... I guess you call him in, he's a collector, he's a protector, he's a bodyguard, and a collection agency, all rolled up into one. People who owe money for drugs, who are asked to pay money for drugs, and they don't pay, somebody has to be sent to their house to make them pay. So, I was that guy. I used to work for an undisclosed motorcycle club that anything over $10,000 for drug money, because they used to sling kilos of cocaine and pounds of methamphetamine. And if somebody didn't pay their bill, they would call me because they didn't want the exposure. They would say, Wolf, this gentleman owes us, 15,000 or whatever. Anything over 10,000, and I would take it. I get 3 out of the 10 if I get it back. And I would just, no more compassion, no more happiness, no more, I would just go into a mode of destruction, a symphony of destruction. I used to work with a concrete block. I used to go to construction sites, and I would find about concrete about this big that a building had been demolished, and I would particularly look for this concrete. It's got rebar in it. That's metal inside of it. And I'd pick it up and I'd say, all right, that's about 70 pounds. I can work with this. I would get that. I would just put it in my truck, drive away, and then I'd case the dude's joint. That means to actually follow him under surveillance for 2 weeks. Anyway, the guy says, this guy owes $14,000 and he won't pay. And I said, no problem. Give me his name, and that's it. That's all I need. So I get his name. I got connections in the DMV. So I call up my friend, and she's a woman. I used to make love to her, and I say, name is blah, 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 and she gives me his everything. His name, his address, his fucking whole shebang. So I case the joint. I camp out there as a homeless bum. I dress up really raggedy, and I go there, and I sit there. I find a nice place to sit and watch, and I sit there, and I know his routine. For 2 weeks I do this, and I called him. I got his phone number. That was no problem. I got his phone number, and I told him, excuse me, sir, you owe some money to some people, and they really want their money. And he's like, yeah, check's in the mail. I love you, honey. And I said, all right. Hung up. Called him back twice. I said, excuse me, sir, it's me again. You owe some people some money. And he said, yeah, I'm going to pay. I'm waiting for my next check or some crap like that. I said, all right, I'll call you one more time, and then you won't owe the money anymore. So I called him a third time on his payday, because I knew where he worked, I knew where he lived, I knew his routine, the whole, everything. And I asked him one last time, I said, check this out, fool. No more polite shit. I said, check this out, fool. If you don't pay the fucking money, you don't owe us anything. And he said, really? I said, yeah, really. And he hung up the phone, and that was it. That's when I have to actually go to work, That's when I actually have to fulfill the contract. Basically, like I said, I took a concrete block, and it weighed about 70 pounds, and the guy had no dog. His neighbors didn't have dogs. every single night, this fool got off work and went to this local little stupid bar and drank pitchers of beer with a bunch of old men, and then we'd go home and he would snore half hour into the thing when he got home. So about 1:30, I quietly broke into his house with the concrete block. It weighs 70 pounds, and I got in his closet, because he never goes in his closet. He just goes straight to bed and he throws his boots off, and that's it. So I'm waiting there, and it's 1:30. 2 o'clock rolls around. The guy gets home about 2:15. About quarter to fucking 3. The guy starts snoring. And I'm sitting there waiting in the closet with a concrete thing that weighs 70 pounds and a rebarb stuck to it. Like an Apache, I snuck out of the closet and I dropped it on his shin. And it broke his leg. It's called a compound fracture. When both bones stick out of the skin. I just dropped it. I handed him his cell phone. I said, bro, you really need an ambulance at this moment in time. And by the way, you do not owe the money anymore. But you also have a very large doctor bill. I said, you're in shock. Your face is turning white. Here's the phone. Say hello to the bad guy. And the guy just pretty much shit on himself. And he dialed 911. I need an ambulance. He didn't even call the police. So I split. It made the papers. So I took the paper to the motorcycle club and I said, the guy's in the hospital now. He's got a really bad leg. Do you want me to go back? And they said, well, let's see if he pays. So they gave him 3 days and the guy sent the money. He paid. And then he had a hospital bill on top of that. So in the long run, you're better off paying. When somebody says they owe you owe money, you should pay. You know, forget about the collection agency, because they'll send you letters and phone calls, all that crap. It doesn't mean shit. But when somebody shows up at your house with a concrete block and drops it on your shin, it kind of gets your attention, you know? Someday when I die, I'll have to answer for that to my maker. Oh well. Thank God I didn't die today.